serious as a deacon. I like it. I like it fine. In a world of old rags and bones, I like it. Here's that cable. Now, you take Sidney here. If Sidney ever got anywhere near Susie, I'd take a baseball bat, break it over his head.
Hey, Joe.
The world of media is a hothouse where reputations are made and unmade, and where the power of persuasion is wielded for good and for ignoble ends.
He said you'd chew up the job and spit it right back in my face.
An especially pungent and cynical taste of this world is offered by The Sweet Smell of Success. Directed by Alexander Mackendrick, it's a cookie full of arsenic, a delicious and dangerous tour of journalism's dark underbelly.
Why is it that everything you say sounds like a threat?
Maybe it's a mannerism, because I don't threaten friends. But why furnish your enemies with ammunition? You're a family man, Harvey, and someday, God willing, you may want to be president. And here you are, out in the open, where any hep person knows that this one is toting that one around for you.
The movie captures Manhattan in the 1950s, a landscape of glamour and sleaze, of elegant nightclubs and ratty back offices.
Watch me run a 50-yard dash with my legs cut off.
The idioms of this world are distilled in Clifford Odets' screenplay, which was adapted from a novel by Ernest Lehman. Elmer Bernstein's score and music from the Chico Hamilton Quintet provide a perfect soundtrack. Most of the action in the movie takes place at night, its shadows and glare made vivid by the great cinematographer James Wong Howe. Tony Curtis plays Sidney Falco, an ambitious press agent in the thrall of J.J. Hunsaker, a powerful gossip columnist played by Burt Lancaster, who's also a producer of the film. Hunsaker's beloved younger sister Susan is in love with Steve Dallas, perhaps the whitest and squarest jazz musician in the history of cinema. Hunsaker is determined to break up this pair of lovebirds, and he uses the spineless, fast-talking Sidney as his proxy.
Because if I'm going to go out on a limb for you, you got to know what's involved.
My right hand hasn't seen my left hand in 30 years.
I'll do it.
Hunsaker is loosely based on Walter Winchell, a columnist and radio personality whose power and influence was not limited to the world of celebrity gossip. As was the case with Winchell, powerful politicians court Hunsaker, who sees himself not merely as a journalist, but as a champion of truth, justice, and the American way.
You think this is a personal thing with me? Are you telling me I think of this in terms of personal pique? Don't you see that today that boy wiped his feet on the choice, on the predilections of 60 million men and women in the greatest country in the world? If you had any morals yourself, you'd understand the immorality of that boy's stand today. It wasn't me he criticized. It was my readers.
He's also a monster, cruel, scheming, and blind to the twists of his own psychology. Hunsaker's obsessive, protective love of Susan reveals the darkest aspects of his soul, but is also evidence, perhaps the only evidence, that he has one.
And is that why you put your hands on my sister? JJ, please.
The person whose soul is really at stake in this movie, though, is Sidney Falco. Curtis uses his trademark charm and nervous energy in the service of a character who leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth, including his own. Sidney Falco may be personally revolting, but his struggle is one that we can perhaps relate to. He desperately wants to be a player, to be in the middle of the game, but he's compelled, almost against his will, to risk everything and do the right thing.
Don't remove the gangplank, Sidney. You may want to get back on board.
JJ, it's one thing to wear your dog collar. When it turns into a noose, I'd rather have my freedom.
The man in jail is always for freedom.
Except if you'll excuse me, JJ, I'm not in jail.
There are people who lead modest, quiet, virtuous lives, and there are people who are obsessively devoted to the maintenance of their own prestige and influence. And then there's everybody else, drawn to power like bees to a blossom or moths to a flame.
Sidney, I told you.
JJ, I swear to you on my mother's life I wouldn't do that. Not if you gave me a column would I do a thing